and I've got to put a stop to it. That's why this video is important, particularly on my birthday, because I've know that if I cannot block or stop those who have more weapons than me, more social than me, more of everything than me, as greedy gits, even though I cannot put a stop to them, I can expose them. And I can say, you're not my friend. Stop pretending to be my friend. And if you are demon possessed, why should I expel your demons? Because are you that special for me to expel your demons? Why should I do it? So there's nothing more annoying when you see boys and girls and adults, particularly adults who are supposed to set an example, a moral example, mix everything up, confuse people. So this is the point of clarifying that confusion. So looking at the three men, for example, that hard leftists, versus they know I rejected them and they're not trying to sweet talk me anymore. They're trying to attack me. Compared to the other mark of the beast, 666, they're more subtle. They're a subtle bully. So the blatant bullies sort of given up the mask. I've unmasked it, the three men in the far left. The one that is a subtle bully, that is not removing its mask yet, thinks that I don't know or assumes I don't know what they're doing. So I'm going to expose them. Here goes. An example of a copycat and a demon possessed. Number one, out of those three men on the internet, the key word is focus on number one, my voice, my body language. Number two, me being an individual. Number three, me doing God's will. What that means. It's digging a little deeper. Number three, because it wants to steal from me as a copycat, to say it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to another woman that he picks and cherry picks. So this type of man gets on my skin. If I had the tools to torture anybody, it would be this one here. Because of him, I had torture, and he is symbolic. He's actually not symbolic to the personality of my ex-husband. He is symbolic to the body of my ex-husband. So he's similar to look like. Maybe his blood is very similar, but his personality is not similar. So this is the first one, which gets on my nerves. It annoys me. As an example of a copycat. So he can say, oh, so you have that good trait of you now, have you? So we're going to take that good trait from you and steal your soul and even your body example and say somebody else over here, another one that cherry picked does better than you. Rubbish. How can you say that somebody is better than me physically or spiritually when you have stolen it from me in the first place? It's not the original source, you idiot. And yet they get away with it because they have more money and more weapons. So it's an invisible enemy which actually activates a genocide by stealing people's information and then taking it from them. Is the same as stealing somebody's soul and disqualifying somebody else, make somebody else lose their jobs, make somebody else lose their minds, make somebody else lose and be totally discredited for somebody else's advantage and credit. This is what this spiritual assault is doing. That's why I'd want to torture it. In the book of Revelation, it says that God's people have been tortured and there will be a time when the devilish people will be tortured where they belong. So how are they doing a copycat? How are they calling themselves Christs? How are they calling themselves saints when they're not? It is Satan. And the answer is the following qualities, which are positive qualities, I'm going to reveal. So they're looking at my positive qualities and how they can steal it. They're looking at what I receive from other people that is loving and full of justice, so that they can steal it and be the talk of the town, be the center of attention, to say that they have more love, more justice, and more social. Number 5, they want to celebrate by saying, we're having a jubilee here, as in and we're going to, as the example of the royal party that was performed, we're going to have a jubilee for all ages. Again, that's stolen from the saints, jubilee. Number 6, godly life for one of God's chosen people. So they're calling themselves chosen. I can't believe it. They think they're so special, they're so vain. Everything they think is about them. And yet they haven't had their bones broken, they haven't had their children stolen, they haven't been beaten up black and blue, they haven't been tortured, tormented, tempted. None of that. They're not in the desert, they're in the city somewhere having a high life and high flying career. How on earth can they call themselves the chosen ones when they haven't taken the footsteps of Jesus and John the Baptist? Idiots, again. Number 7, they are not good leaders because they are not blameless and they're not cautious, or they're too cautious. There is no balance when it comes to them being careful. It's all imbalanced. It's either extremely cautious or extremely not cautious. So they're full of blame and shame that they put on innocent individual, unsuspected individual, which is totally out of order. Bad leaders that should lose their jobs and not have a position of employment. Very people that should have a position of employment is people like me, whether I'm disabled, unabled, or abled. I still should have a spare job in my spare time with the resources, but I haven't got the spare time. It's been stolen from me, and I haven't got the resources to have an extra job. And the government says I have to earn minimal £150 before my benefits are affected, and I'm entitled to that, and I'm not using my entitlement to the full potential because these morons, bitches and bastards, are standing in my way. They won't. There's no education about it. There's no knowledge for me how to find a job where I could earn an extra £150 and have my state benefit at the same time. It's been hidden. It's a secret. So that's an example of how they're misleading and blaming and shaming and abusing the actual people that should be employed compared to these bad leaders who should be unemployed. And yet still have their job somehow. What the hell? What the hell is this? And then you have number 8, the virtues. They are selling their virtues. This is why they would sell humility, honesty, and kindness by a false pretense or by acting skills. The second type of man is full of fear. The other type of man I was looking at noted it would try and make a mental health assessment on me anonymously by reading what I had written down, which is supposed to be my journal. And it's not really my journal, it's really like a student's notebook. So I'm making observations. I'm not really writing a secret diary as such. So it's making judgments on me anonymously so that I don't know. It wants me to feel a sense that he can rebuild me, disregarding God. When he reads my writings, he disregards God and religion. When he finds my beauty, he also disregards God and religion. Because he's not interested in God, he's interested in me. How I would be when I have my operation on my spine. So he's interested in that and how I was when I had inserted they inserted the epidural that only didn't even help for a week. So it was totally useless. And then they made me overdo it, and then that's how I became totally paralyzed, because they made me overdo it with my exercising. And so he's eager, the second bloke, to find a way how I can rebuild my life and repair my sicknesses and from my disasters, which is so very nice. However, he's disregarding my religion, which is not nice. So it's similar to a composer making music, but it's saying, I don't want the lyrics to say anything about God. God makes me cringe. I don't want to have anything to do with God. God is the cause of religion and poverty. No, it is politics that's the cause of religion and poverty, not God. And the third type of individual, who is a cat behaving as a dog, I've noticed on the internet, is the keyword favour. So I have said these 3 words where they're being a copycat. They're fighting, they're fear-mongering, and number 3, favour, to see if he would give me favour. But apparently I'm not his favourite. He wants to two-time me, he wants to cheat on me, he wants me to have all my attention on him, all my cooperation on him, my concerns, my compassion, to forgive him, but he won't forgive me at all. What's the point of that? Waste of space and waste of time. They will not remember to keep my rules, but would expect me to keep their rules. Is that fair? No. They will feel angry towards me because they are impatient, and because they have identified who my new social and domestic terrorists are on the internet. So because they have identified who they are, I now have to obey him, but he will disobey me. So I cannot expect anything from this type of man. And it's a forced relationship to say, I will help you if you acknowledge what I'm doing currently to control your enemy. So it's the same as a bribe. If you have a relationship with me, if you put me first as a alpha male, alpha, the beginning and the end, which is a bad history repeating itself, that's already happened to me. I've already been beaten up black and blue as a result of sexism and as a result of an alpha male in my community. So they're looking to recreate and resurrect that evil from the evil skeleton, where they're forcing me to make exceptions for an alpha male who does not accept God to be the true alpha and the omega. So again, it's identity policy to say that if I allow him to control me and I become timid like a mouse and scared and always call him all the time, then this notion of him rebuilding and helping me to even reproduce as the opposite sex partner. And so this is the perspective of currently more cats that are behaving as the dog in Citizens Advice Bureau that is supposed to be helping me are wolves in sheep's clothing. In other words, they're cats who are behaving as the dogs. They are the dogs and they are as the wolves. So this putting this into perspective on what they're doing as a group think, actually. And the reason why they annoy each other the most is because of this Jezebel spirit, which is extremely competitive and extremely challenging in an unfair way, unfair competition. How they have approached me, which is wrong, by looking at what I have complained about with Citizens Advice Bureau and then looking for a way to intensify and increase that problem by making sure that the exact enemy who has created it all is behind the scenes. calling me